a guy, you go get him. It's pretty simple that way. If you don't know, and you're gonna give all these resources to go up and get it, you're hurting your team in the long run. You better be right. You better have conviction if you do move up. So but when you do that, you're all in.
So my whole thing is, the reason why I wanted to start that way. First of all, welcome to FPFO. I'm your host JJ.
I'm your co-host Terrence.
The reason why I wanted to start that way is because it seems like in this fan base, and we're not even in season, so I really don't even start. You know what I'm saying? I really don't even like starting with like the eulogy, like because it just feels like we in season, and it feels like I'm about to spaz, but I'm really not. But I wanted to play that video because it seems like inside of this fan base, for whatever reason, everybody has their opinion on who they want drafted, and is it Bryce, CJ? Everybody got an attitude about Anthony Richardson, et cetera, right? My whole thing is at some point, and I'm probably one of the more opinionated people that a lot of people would encounter. And I really don't hold my tongue too much. But at some point, you just gotta just sit back and fucking relax. Scotty said in the combine before we even made the move, and I see you got that smirk on your face. But I'm just telling you what Scotty said, right? Scotty said, if you make a move like that, you better have some conviction about what you about to do. Obviously paraphrasing, the nigga translation. I'm just telling you the way I heard it. He said, if you move up, you better have some conviction about what you about to do. So everybody got their opinion on Bryce, AR, CJ, whatever. Okay, cool. I'm to the point now where I'm already like a week and a half into this shit. I'm already tired of talking about, tired of hearing the speculation about who we're going to go, tired of discussing who I want. At this point, I don't give a fuck. And I say that only because, for one, I do give a fuck. Because Will Levis, if I hear his name April 27th as the first overall pick, this podcast might not exist anymore. I might not be a Carolina Panthers fan no more. All my shit might be up for sale. So, again, everybody just relax. Scott got it. Dave, Nicole, they got it. Dave, listen. I was on Dave's top. I just need to get this shit off my chest, Terrence. I really do. Because I was on Dave's top. I was on Dave's top for the past 2 years. We had our little encounter, whatever, right? But since letting Matt Rule go, since swallowing his pride and letting Matt Rule go, because that is the main thing that, I don't think we commended him enough for, was swallowing his pride and making a decision, given his hands were tied, and I don't think there was really a real decision to be made.
I was about to say, Nicole could have made that decision.
I mean, yeah, that's very true. But since swallowing his pride, every step of the way since then, I think Dave Tepper has made the right decision. I do. So at this point, I'm okay, bro. I'm chilling. I want y'all to be on my level. Because usually I'm the emotional one, and usually I'm like spazzing out. Usually I'm doing all of this extra shit. But I need y'all to get on my level now as a fan base, and everybody just fucking relax. April is right around the corner. Enjoy the process. Enjoy the moment. Because when shit go up,
says the nigga that was just emotional as fuck about the whole thing last week. Now everybody needs to get on his level.
Because everybody just relax, man. Because you want me to tell you why? Because Scotty ain't just say his shit one time. He said it again yesterday, Monday or Tuesday, excuse me. He said it again. Everybody just relax. I know what I'm doing. We know who we want. Everybody shut the fuck up and let me cook.
Realistically, what the fuck does that mean? What kind of credibility does he have to tell the fan base to relax when we both came in here and said last week, everybody as a Carolina Panthers fan know that this organization has reasonable cause to just fuck something up.
You want me to tell you why?
So everybody should now just relax.
Yeah, you want me to tell you why everybody needs to relax?
And I mean, it's not even like the situation is simple. It's between one or two quarterbacks. So I think it's fair for I'm gonna say it's between 1 and 2 quarterbacks. So
that's wishful thinking.
So I think it's fair. Okay, well, it's 1 to 4 then.
It's not 4. I don't
see now it ain't 4.
I'm gonna tell you why it's not 4 because Will Levis is just not. To me, Will Levis is no longer in the picture.
Okay, but think about who your fan base is. What you've been saying off record, on record. Like think about who your fan base is. So that's why I just feel like it's unfair for the fan base to have to relax now and let these niggas just do their job when that shit has never went right in the past.
I'm gonna tell you why, bro. I'm gonna tell you why. Because last week we recorded before free agency started, right? The past 7 days, and this is what we're gonna we're gonna run the podcast around. The past 7 days, I mean, shit. I came on here and said it was gonna take us 2 years to get to the NFC Championship. I might take that statement back, nigga. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and stamp it right now. Let me go ahead and stamp it right now. The Carolina Panthers, let me look into the camera directly. The Carolina Panthers will be in the NFC Championship this season. This season. Stamp. This is an approved message by JJ and JJ only.
Yeah.
By approved message by JJ and JJ only, the Carolina Panthers will be in the NFC Championship this year.
JJ only. I don't go that far. To me, that's delusional thinking. But I mean,
so I can't tell you to relax. You're still eager a little bit. You still got anxiety about the whole situation. My whole thing is like you just got to trust the process, bro. I just told somebody that on Facebook today. Everybody want to chat, do all of this, and be up in arms, but we're in a phenomenal position. New head coach, completely new coaching staff. Scott Fitter finally has complete control over what the fuck is going on from a roster standpoint, with the influence, obviously, of Frank Reich and Dave Tepper. But ultimately, from what it looks like, he's the one that's calling the final shots. And he hasn't fucked up yet.
But you were just at the same point that the fan base is at now.
Yeah, last week before free agency started. Okay, yes, I was. Then Scott came in and started cooking.
Just by getting those pieces don't necessarily mean that they're not gonna fuck the draft. Like,
how could they? There's
realistically, it's a lot of ways they could.
There's one way they could do it, and that's by taking that motherfucker from Kentucky
and the one from Florida. So.
No, I don't agree with that.
I do.
I'm gonna go ahead and say this too, because I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. If we draft Anthony Richardson, it's gonna take 2 years. But if we draft Bryce or CJ, we'll be in that bitch this year dancing. No cap, and the bank will be rocking, and I will be in the team.
Okay, so that goes to say, if you feel like those quarterbacks, one and the other separates us from being in the NFC Championship to not being in the NFC Championship, why do you not have a problem with them taking Anthony Richardson in?
Because why would I?
Because why? You just said that if we took Bryce or CJ, you feel like we will be in the NFC Championship this year. Yeah. But if we take Anthony Richardson, it's going to be 2 years. Why wouldn't you want to go this year?
Because I'm indifferent. Because ultimately, in my opinion, out of those 3 names, I think all 3 of those names garner you long-term success. I do. I think out of those 3 names, 3 of the 3 can be your franchise quarterback for 7 to 10 years.
Yeah, but I'm just not getting why, if you feel like one doesn't get you to the NFC Championship, but the other 2 can within the first year, then why wouldn't you just have the choice between those 1 or 2?
Because why would I give a fuck if I feel like it? Why would I give a fuck if all three of them are going to garner me long-term success? Because this is the thing. Only thing I can go based on is what Scott Fitterer has told me. Scott Fitterer has told me on 2 occasions now that they know who their guy is. If you know who your guy is and you gave up the assets and the weapons that you did and the capital that you did, you were willing to go that deep and give up that amount because you knew who your guy was. And mind you, this was said at the Combine. And I believe that I believe the Carolina Panthers had been knowing who their guy is.
I'm going to go ahead and let you know it ain't Anthony Richardson. So,
I mean, that's no problem with me.
I'm just saying, you might as well
That's no problem with me at all, but I'm telling you what I've been seeing, it's a 3-person race. Will Levis, I haven't seen Will Levis come across my timeline in about 5 days now. I'll be honest. I haven't seen that nigga's name in 5 days.
I mean, that's fine when shit always happen when you least expect it. Not saying that's what's gonna happen, but I'm just saying.
I pray for our sake it doesn't.
Like when you put money up for a rainy day and then that bitch somehow happened to rain the next day. Like that's the type shit we deal with this organization. So I'm not putting nothing past them. I hope that they make the right decisions between 1 and 2 quarterbacks, and then we're good. And then I'll be good from April 27th to the start of the season. Then I'll be happy, and then I'll start making some predictions. But until then, until I see who is captaining my ship, then unfortunately I can't make those decisions right now.
If CJ and Bryce come in this bitch, if CJ and Bryce come to the fold, we going to the NFC Championship. This year, 2022-2023 season. CJ come in here, Bryce come in here, we turned up. But like I said, at this point, and I was very vocal last week about, not wanting Bryce because he was too small. I was very vocal about not wanting Will Levis. My stance has not changed on that at all. But listen, if the Panthers have this much conviction in their decision and the decision that they're going to make, who am I to challenge that?
I guess you heard what Big Bro Frank said. That's why you came and made that statement.
I didn't hear what he said. No, talking about Bryce?
Yeah, what Frank said about a small quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it. Like that shit, that's cute. But I just know ultimately, I know Frank ass can get missing.
Just as well as Scott can. So,
but Frank is a lot more viable or a lot more probable to get missing a lot earlier than Scott can. Or than Scott will.
That's true, but I can promise you these players that's coming in now, Frank has his hand in that shit.
I mean, of course, that's what I said. Scott ultimately is controlling everything that's happening right now. But I said Frank Reich has a heavy influence in that as well, because you want to bring in guys that your head coach wants to coach and who will fit a part of what you're trying to do or be a part of what you're trying to do. All that being said, big bro, just relax, man. It's no need to panic. We got a fucking Cowboys fan in this bitch.
It's not panicking.
Recording. Listen, but let me tell you, I'm going to just tell you why we're in a great position, right? Because you take a look at some of these fan bases, and I can give you a perfect example today, right? We got a Cowboys fan in this bitch right now. I'm at work doing my fucking job. And this nigga texts me excited because they signed Ronald Jones.
I mean,
let's be fucking for real.
That's like an obvious.
Okay, cool. So we could be in a lot worse position than we currently are. Everybody just fucking relax. So with that being said, again, welcome to FPFO.
Elaborate.
Okay.
You'd rather be at a position where you've been sub 500 for the last 3 years versus 2 back-to-back 12-win seasons?
I mean, not necessarily.
And competing for a spot in the playoffs every year?
Think about it, guess what? It's just like the conversation when we talk about Duke and UNC. Not to bring that up because it's not a basketball pod, but it's just like the same shit we be talking about when y'all niggas send me that picture over and over again for whatever reason. It's just like, I mean, okay, but ultimately, the ultimate goal is to win a fucking championship. So, like, nigga, that shit is cute that y'all won 12 games, this and that, but, like, you beat a fucking 46-year-old Brady who was on his fucking deathbed. That nigga looks like a fucking ghost due to his bitch leaving him. So y'all beat them, a team that had been really no good the whole season and just lucked up because our secondary was hurt. You beat them, and I guess, like, you know what I'm saying, y'all niggas felt great about that for beating them in a wild card game. And then you got fucking drugged the following week. So it's just like, nigga, that's great that y'all won 12 games. It's commendable. Like, it's great.
In the division, though, because you're comparing a team who's filling in the back end of their roster versus a team who's trying to find a franchise cornerstone.
How are you filling in the back end of your roster? If you're running back that you just, the running back that you just franchise tagged, and this isn't even I don't even know why I'm doing this shit with this nigga right now. But the running back that you just franchise tagged just got his leg completely fucked. But this is supposed to be, and let me tell you the kicker to all of this shit. And then we moving on because we like 15 minutes in already. The kicker to this shit is this nigga tells me, because he says I'm trying to tell this nigga like, bruh, Ronald Jones ain't shit. Like, really. Like, and I tell this nigga, I say, bro, when we see y'all in the bank, I'm willing to bet $37 that this bitch won't even rush for 37 yards. He tells me, right? This is what comes out of his mouth. And again, wrapping up, because it's just like, why are we talking about this shit? He tells me we can make that deal if he makes the roster. Now, imagine a motherfucker getting excited about a nigga that might not even make the roster. And I'm supposed to respect that, and he telling me he won 12 games.
Yeah, that's
motherfucker, you ain't won shit in 30 goddamn years. At least we've been dancing 2 times in the last 30. That's more than you can say. So again, I pose the question: would you be more excited to have the number? If I took the teams away and I gave you a hypothetical situation in November and asked you, would you be more excited about having the number 1 pick that your team obtained in the trade, or would you be more happy with signing Ronald Jones? That your team signed Ronald Jones, and 99% of the fucking good thinking population in this world would say I would much rather my team had the number 1 pick because Ronald Jones ain't shit. Right? But you know, it is what it is. Leave it to a Cowboys fan to tell me that Ronald Jones is a admirable replacement for Ezekiel Elliott, a running back that rushed for 3.8 yards a carry last year and was only, what was the number that I told you? 126? Look, 126 yards away from another 1,000-yard rushing season, and getting excited because they signed a nigga that rushed for 17 times and 70 yards total. Come on, bro. Let's be serious, bro. Welcome to FPFO. Again, I'm your host, JJ. This is my co-host, Terrence the God. Why'd you take the God out of your shit, too, by the way? I
don't know, bro. It just ain't feel like...
Fair enough.
Shit was blasphemous.
It ain't feel like...
Fair enough. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, @ForPanthersFansOnly. You can find us on Rumble, YouTube as well, at the G2S Network, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, all of the DSPs. You can find us there @ForPanthersFansOnly as well. Thank you all for being here. We're going to get into it. Sorry that I had to give it, sorry that that's how we started. But at the same time, like I said, I've been a lot more active in the fan base, in the Facebook community, a lot more active in the Twitter community, just seeing how people are giving it up, having conversations with certain people and everything. It seems like for whatever reason, people are in a panic, and I really don't understand why. Again, the past 6 to 7 to 8 days that we've had have been tremendous. Honestly, in my opinion. Give me how you've been feeling the last 7 days, because again, the last time we recorded and we came in here, we were about, I think, 40 hours away from free agency officially opening up, or the quote unquote legal tampering process opening up. Mm-hmm. So tell me how you've been feeling the last 7 or 8 days, and be honest, because it seems like you've been fucking panicking like the other fans in this fan base too. And it seems like I was speaking more directly to you than them. No, relax, nigga.
I'm not panicking. Like I think that we had a lot of good signings in free agency. The only thing that there is to panic about, honestly, at this point, is the quarterback situation. But I mean, until we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But until then, I think that the organization has surrounded the quarterback, the team, with valuable, assets. Re-signing Bradley Bozeman, getting Von Bell, Adam Thielen, he just signed. Couple more guys, Shaw Tuttle. Those guys like that, I think they fill in, the gaps that we were talking about that got exposed a lot last year.
Fair enough.
And so I think that we recorded before DJ got released, right? Or after DJ got released?
After.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, no reason to bring that back up. But I think that, bringing in Adam Thielen, that kind of – I don't really like him as, a number 1 receiver. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, if it compares to the receivers that we have on the roster, then I'm okay with him being a number 1 receiver. And I feel like he's a vet receiver, and he's good enough to build the confidence of the rookie quarterback that we're going to be bringing in.
Well, let's start there. I mean, I wanted to go in a certain order, but since you brought it up and since we're here, let's start there. All the way at the bottom, Adam Thielen, one of the more talked about moves that we made, and this actually just happened. What, yesterday? Technically on Monday or Tuesday?
I want to say.
Might have been Monday.
I want to say Monday.
Actually, no. You want me to tell you exactly when it was? It was Sunday because I was calling baseball.
Yeah.
So Sunday evening, the Carolina Panthers signed Adam Thielen, 3 years, $25 million. Passed the stats for him last year: 70 receptions, 716 yards, 6 touchdowns. So give me your opinion on it and how you feel about it. You were starting to get into it right then, but I just wanted to make sure the folks had the details and everything like that. So let me know how you feeling as far as that is concerned, because again, like we all know, but if you've been living under a rock, we did move on from DJ Moore. That was part of the package that we had to give up in order to move into that number one position. So how are you feeling about that move in particular? And then we'll go through the other signings that we had, and that's kind of how we'll run the show today. So talk to me about Adam Thielen.
Yeah, so I think that, like I said, he's a good option for a rookie quarterback coming in. I think that he's going to teach him a lot of things regarding, like, NFL wide receivers. He's a veteran. He'll be a good mentor for Terrace Marshall, Shaw Smith, Laviska. He's been around a minute. So, but I think that, and those stats don't say enough about his play, because I think that obviously he's overshadowed by, you can argue, the best receiver in football today is Justin Jefferson.
For sure.
And so, and then they also have KJ Osborne. He's came a long way as well. So I think that, like, he's been overshadowed by those guys, and to still have 700 yards receiving, and then I think the stat was he has 36 receiving touchdowns over the past 4 seasons.
Yep.
Which is better than a lot of big name guys that
Stephon Diggs, Cooper Kupp, AJ Brown, DK Metcalf, Amari Cooper, George Kittle, DeAndre Hopkins, and Keenan Allen.
Yeah, so with that's an elite company. And so if we can get a receiver who can put up numbers like that, we know that he can score, he can get in the end zone. He's a big red zone target. I think I had him in fantasy a few years back, and he's always, like, got me some valuable points, even though that doesn't really equate to real life football. But just like the fact that, he can get the football in the end zone. And so being that we picked him up, I think that was big, and you don't necessarily now have to go and spend any crazy amount of money to go get another receiver. Obviously, I think that in the draft, like, if we can get a Jackson, a Jibba Smith sitting there, then I would want to take him. But this way you can go play around in the draft with a receiver, like take a chance on a receiver in the draft, because on the back end you still have Adam Thielen, you still have Terrace Marshall, you still have Laviska. And so I think it was a solid pickup. Obviously, I don't think that he's gonna, because I think we gave him a 3-year deal.
Yeah.
I expect that next year that we go and, like, big guns blazing. We go and get someone,
sure,
a big time receiver out of the free agency. And
not to cut you off, and not for anything, that contract is front loaded. So the first, I believe what he's making is $10 million the first year. And then like 7.5 the second year, and then like a smaller amount on the back end for the third year. So I think that you're on the right path with your train of thought, and like, yeah, cool, we're going to load you up this year, but like, nigga, you about to be 33, 34 years old. Like,
yeah,
we know that you don't got much left in the tank.
Yeah, so it's like after this year, next year, you either, we send you out on a good retirement, or, you continue to play out your contract, be the number 2 receiver, be the number 3 receiver, just be a valuable option, like, in that 2 or 3 spot. So, I think it was a solid pickup for this year, honestly.
Facts. I agree. As far as I'm concerned, my thought process on it, we came in here and we played yes or no last week. I really honestly don't even remember if I said yes or no on Thielen. But now that it's officially a go, I think that like you mentioned, I mean, he's going to be a guy that our rookie quarterback can trust. I think that's going to be the main thing. I think that obviously he's a veteran. You know, he's had multiple 1,000-yard receiving yard years. So it's not like this guy is just a bum. I think that a lot, like you mentioned, a lot of the value that he brings to a team and the talent that he has been overshadowed by Justin Jefferson. But, I mean, in that same breath, realistically, who wouldn't? Yeah. I do not believe he's a number one. I don't think, for me personally, and this is just, again, my opinion, I don't believe that he answers your problems as far as wide receiver one. I don't. There's been a lot of rumors that, you know, to follow that move, DJ Chark was going to be in Charlotte as well. And I think that helps you out if you bring in DJ Chark and then you have Adam Thielen as well, and then you have Terrace Marshall and Shaw and all of those guys. But this receiving core, as far as I'm concerned, is still like doesn't really do much to move the meter, in my opinion. Like, it's great that Thielen is there. I know the kind of leader he'll be in the locker room. You know, sure hands. He's going to get the touchdown because he's like you mentioned, he's a red zone threat. You know, he's not going to drop many passes. He's not a huge rat guy, a huge yak guy. So, you know, he's not going to do a whole bunch of running after the catch and all of that shit. But as far as possession catching, he's your guy. So that's going to help when you take a look at those third down conversions and that percentage and things of that nature and efficiency in the red zone. He's going to help with that. Yeah. And that's an essential part to building towards what we're trying to build towards.
Yeah, and like to what you said, being that the receiving room is still shaky, like, yeah, that is very true, but I think like it's better than when we came in here last week and had the expectations of us like possibly going into the season with Terrace Marshall as the number one,
absolutely,
LaVisca, Shaw Smith, and then not even knowing what Rashard Higgins was doing. Like, yeah, like I think it looks way better than having those options, and then you add Hayden Hurst.
Hayden Hurst, yep.
Yeah, and so he's like another receiver in my opinion because he's a receiving catching tight end, and so that's another security blanket for your quarterback. So
for sure. I do feel a lot more comfortable about our wide receiver room now. I don't think that Adam Thielen necessarily moves the meter to where you want to be, but I do feel a lot more comfortable. I think two things can be true in that situation. And just to speak to his mentality, like off rip, the first thing he said after getting signed was like, yeah, I want to be in Charlotte. I want to be in Carolina. I feel as though we can win a Super Bowl. That to me, you already know how I am. I'm a big mentality guy, big like locker room guy. What the team, how they moving, because it's not always all about the field. It's all about, you know what I'm saying. It's not always about production on the field. That's not always like you can pinpoint it just to that. Like, no, bro. If the locker room ain't right, if niggas ain't buying into what's going on, the play is going to be subpar. And I think that it was. You know, that was very, very clear last year, the first 6 games of the season. People were not buying into Matt Rule and his shenanigans and what he had going on, and it was very apparent. Then when you bring a guy in like Steve Wilkes who can rally the troops, and, you know, he's a player coach, I guess you could say. Matter of fact, I won't even say he's a player coach because he's really not, but he's a leader of men, and you get guys that want to buy into that, you know, the difference was glaring. So you bring a guy in who's saying, you know, off rip, I think we can win a Super Bowl, sign me up. Because that's the type of mentality that we need around the organization in that locker room, specifically with a young quarterback coming in, a young rookie quarterback. So yeah. I like the signing for what it is, and I take it for what it is. A lot of people, again, that's one of, you know, it's been a huge topic within the fan base about, you know, how they feel about the signing and trying to compare Adam Thielen to DJ Moore. I mean, that's not something that you can even do. Like, realistically,
that's really just dumb. Honestly.
Yeah, it's not something that you can do, and I think that you're extremely uninformed and unintelligent if you even try to do that, because that was not what this move was supposed to be, in my opinion. Because I'm under the belief, and I told you based on what I was hearing, that DJ Chark was going to sign either Monday or Tuesday. It didn't happen that way. I saw another report that was saying that, you know, a deal was imminent by 5 p.m. tomorrow. Still hasn't happened yet, so I'm not quite sure what's going on as far as that concern. But what I do believe, as far as the wide receiver room is concerned, I do believe that we're going to get another piece from whether it be from free agency and being in DJ Chark, because I think at this point that's the only direction you go on free agency, or we make a move for DeAndre Hopkins. Honestly, I think those are the two options. We still have a good amount of money in cap space for this season in particular. So it's just like I still feel as though there's still another move to be made to that wide receiver in that wide receiver room. And I'm going to say that it will happen before we record next week. I'm pretty confident about that. And so we'll see how it plays out. But again, Adam Thielen is not a terrible signing. I would give the signing, and let's grade the signing. I like adding enjoyment and kind of interaction to, the shit we be talking about. If I had to give it a grade, I would say a C+. And I say a C+ because of his, again, the same issues that I had. The same issues that I had last week still remain the same. His injury history and his age are going to be the biggest things that concern me, even going into the season with him being rostered. Those are going to be the two things that concern me the most. For that, I give it a C+. And the reason why I give it a C+ is because I know what he's going to add to the locker room, and I know what he's going to contribute towards the growth of our rookie quarterback. So what would you grade it?
I'm going to go B-, B. I really almost want to go to an A if it wasn't because of his age, just because it just brings a different dynamic to the team. Like, obviously, he's not the receiver that DJ Moore is, much older. But like I said, and I we keep repeating it kind of thing. But like I said, I just think it goes a long way to help the rookie quarterback. Like you said earlier, he has someone that he can trust. Like, I think that will be a big thing going forward throughout this year, because the quarterback, he's going to make mistakes. He's a rookie. He's going to be inconsistent at times. He's going to make some mistakes. But I think when he has a veteran receiver to kind of make those mistakes not look so bad, to really cost you many games and things like that, because if you have a rookie quarterback and then you have a bunch of inexperienced receivers, then it's just not going to work out. It's going to be a shit show.
Fair enough.
And I think that this really helps Terrace Marshall as well while he's still getting into his stride. Because we can't even really call his first year his rookie year because, he just didn't play at all for whatever reason.
Because Matt Rule, bitch ass.
Yeah, so I don't think he was really able to get into his stride. And so I think he came out a little more last year. But I think, bringing in somebody like Adam Thielen, that also helps him as well. And he's going to be able to improve and get better this year. So, yeah, I give it a B, just because, the mentorship that it brings to the team on many different levels, the quarterback, the wide receiver, just being a vet in the locker room and things of that nature. And then being what we have, what we're thinking about going into the season with, and then what he's added value to that wide receiver room now. So,
facts. I would agree with everything you said. We'll see. It's one of those things that we'll just have to see. We're gonna kind of speed up a little bit here because I wanna make sure that we're as efficient as possible with our time. But I think that was one of those signings that needed that amount of analysis, I guess you could say, just because, again, it's been very polarizing for one, and for two, a lot of people have been extremely vocal in regards to it. And that was one of the biggest things that we were focused on last podcast as well, is what the fuck are we going to do at quarter or at wide receiver now? Mm-hmm. We went through the whole list and everything like that. And I would say, Adam Thielen is probably, a top 5 guy on that list by far.
Yeah.
What was available in this free agent class or this free agency class. So kudos to the Carolina Panthers organization for getting that deal done. And I'm looking forward to seeing what we're going to do in addition to that move to that wide receiver room. Another thing that you mentioned kind of when you were going through that was the addition of Hayden Hurst. So we did get Hayden Hurst, 3 years, $21.75 million, 52 catches, 414 yards, and 2 touchdowns last year. So I like this sign. This is another signing that I like a lot. Oh, you foolish. You foolish. I like this signing a lot. Me personally, and this is one of the things that we disagree on. And it's funny to me because people always say that like we agree too much on this podcast, but like I mean, I guess from an outsider's perspective it be that, but like when we be talking individually, like it don't be that like when it comes to Carolina Panthers football. So it's like comical to me when I hear that shit and when I see it. But just circling back around, I don't hate Ian Thomas. I never really have. I will say that he damn sure has not, played toward the played to the expectation that I have for him. But I don't hate the guy. I feel indifferent towards Tommy Tremble. I think that a lot of the expectations that's placed on our tight ends, they're jaded to a certain degree, because we had one of the best tight ends to ever do this shit. You know what I'm saying? And we had him for a good amount of time, damn near a decade, if not longer. So, you can kind of get spoiled in that respect. But in saying that, the signing of Hayden Hurst to me was essential because we needed a pass catcher tight end. We needed another weapon to put around our rookie quarterback, whoever that may be. And this to me was an essential move. I like it. I know you were talking about the kid from Notre Dame, but we don't really know how the draft is going to fall. We don't know where certain teams want to go with with what picks and things of that nature. I think that this was one of those moves that had to be made, and it's almost one of those things where it's like kind of you have to go with what is budget friendly for one, and you have to go with what's best available. And I think they did that with this Hayden Hurst pickup. So for me personally, I'm going to give this a B+. I like it, and I'm excited to see what level he can take this offense to, because he's one of those guys that I feel as though hasn't reached his full potential by any stretch of the imagination, and he's kind of bounced around here and there, things of that nature. Hasn't really stuck with a team for a long period of time in his career. So I'm intrigued to see what he has to offer. I like giving that a B+. I do.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start off by saying Ian Thomas is fucking mud. Him and along with Tommy Tremble has to be the worst combination of fucking tight ends that I've ever seen in my life. Like it's really borderline just embarrassing. Because I mean they can't catch. Like it's just as simple as that. They can't catch. Ian Thomas, he is pretty good in the run game, but I mean at a certain point that just makes the offense very one dimensional. Yeah. Especially when if DJ Moore is doubled or the best corners on DJ Moore, Terrace Marshall is still stepping into his stride. Shaw Smith is fucking mud at times. LaVisca, he's just running pop plays. And then it's like, oh, let me look for my tight end. Oh, they just look like a fucking deer in headlights. Yeah. And so, I mean, like, that was just getting embarrassing watching over the past couple of years, especially when you see other teams with tight ends like a Travis Kelce, like a George Kittle, things of that nature. Like, not saying that we necessarily need a tight end of that caliber, but, I mean, we do at least need a tight end who can, like, get up and down the field. At least make the linebackers have to play, or at least make the safeties have to know that they need to cover that tight end. Right. And give our receivers more opportunity. So, for that, I'm going to give this Hayden Hurst signing an A. Okay. Because I think it really gives our offense more weapons. It really, I don't know, we just got many different ways to go with the football. And so he will be a big addition to the offense because to me, he's just like another receiver. I haven't watched him a lot. I don't really know how he does in the run block. But I'm assuming if he's not great in the run block and we happen to keep Ian Thomas, that's kind of his specialty. And so I think that we can just throw him in there. But when we're going down the field and things like that, we can throw in Hayden Hurst and know that he is a viable option out there to catch the ball. And like I said, his stats don't really do much of the story because he was overshadowed by Jamar Chase and T. Higgins Tyler Boyd, I think, is on that team. And so he had a lot of good receivers around him as well. But you also seen in the AFC Championship game, I think it was, that he made a couple big plays when he needed to. And so,
For sure. Yeah, I totally agree. Good signing.
Yeah.
Just an all-around good signing. I 100% agree with, he might not be the best in run blocking. He is solid. I will say that. I've gone back and looked at some of the film and things like that on him. He is solid. He's not Ian Thomas. Again, Ian Thomas, to me, at this very moment in his career, is now just a glorified offensive lineman. Yeah. So with that being said, Ian Thomas can go in there, and when it's a guaranteed run or whatever may have you, or in the situation on the goal line, that may be a guy that you want to throw in that moment. But I do agree, Hayden Hurst will add. Hayden Hurst will add a completely different dynamic to this offense, and I think that, like you said, it'll kind of allow us to spread things out a little bit more, especially more so than the past couple of seasons that we've seen. So I like the signing, I do. Let's see who we want to go next. Who do we want to go next? Von Bell. Let's go here. Let's go Von Bell next. 3 years, $22.5 million for him. Let me pull up his stats real quick because I don't know why I didn't have it written down. Let's see. 77 total tackles last year, 1 sack, 2 forced fumbles, and 4 interceptions. Off rip, before I even get into any explanation, I'm giving this move an A+. We know how Jeremy Chin looked last year in coverage as a safety. Complete liability. Shouldn't have been out there in that position in particular. We know what we had to suffer through with Miles Hartsfield. Again, he was playing that big nickel kind of. But we saw a lot of him at safety as well. Complete embarrassment. And, we for me personally, I was kind of disappointed to see Miles Hartsfield go because of the progression that he made last year. Throughout the year, I kind of enjoyed watching him play on certain plays just because he would come down and slide on some shit. But the Von Bell move to me is an A+. And if I'm not mistaken, he was the one that got it all started, right? I think that was the first person that we took in free agency was Von Bell.
Yep.
And I loved it when I saw it. I give this an A+. A ball hawk safety, in my opinion. That 4 interceptions doesn't tell the complete story, in my opinion. He's always around the football, has a complete knack for the football. He comes down, he tackles very well. He's not sliming shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He not he ain't the honey badger. He ain't sliming shit out. But I will say he tackles very, very well. He's a ball hawk, and he adds solidification to that secondary that we needed.
Yeah.
This is another piece that we needed. Another piece that if you were to ask people a month and a half, 2 months ago to write down what this team needed to take it to the next level, safety would have come up.
Yeah.
So with that, again, him being best available, in my opinion, him being the most cost efficient, I give this move an A+.
Yeah, I'm willing to go to an A, just because, if you look at our secondary safeties in particular, neither one of them motherfuckers had an interception last year, which is just completely fucking embarrassing to have see the overview of the field, to just be able to be in center field of the football field and just watch and still not be able to judge the ball in the air and pick the bitch off is just honestly fucking sad. And I think we single-handedly watched Xavier Woods maybe drop 4.
Yeah, no, that ass. Every single week we came in here like, damn, this nigga dropped another one, dog.
And so, it's like, it just feels good to have someone in that area that we know can go up and catch the football.
For sure.
And so, and then it also speaks, it also gives us a little bit of playroom and leeway with what to do with Jeremy Chin. Because I like him more in a hybrid linebacker position. I think that he's not good in coverage, but we need him to play in coverage. He's not gonna completely fuck us over every time. But I like to see him being more of that hybrid linebacker position because he can come up and make a tackle, and then he can beat a running back to the edge. He can go make tackles in the flat against tight ends or if wide receivers are running drag routes. Like, he can handle those things, and I think Von Bell brings that different dynamic to the team to where we can put Jeremy Chin in that area and let him fly around in that area. So
for sure. And just to touch on that, because you did mention Jeremy Chin, Scott Fitterer said in his interview, I want to say 2 days ago, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. It don't even matter because they be hearing this shit late anyway. But he did say that Jeremy Chin was moving a big nickel. So that's what they have him at right now. They have him. Scott Fitterer, like I said, I'm reading it right here. They got him listed and going into the season. Excuse me, as a big nickel or a dime linebacker. That's what they're considering him now.
Yeah, and it's just completely fucking dumb that we have some fans saying that he's not going to play at all. Like, he's just not going to be a starting player.
Yeah,
that's just.
I mean, I could see him not starting, but it's just like, I mean, if you don't start and you still getting 40 fucking reps, like, what difference does it make realistically?
I don't even know if I could see him not starting. I think that he's one of our best defensive players. Like, this is not a Jeremy Chin podcast, it's not a defensive podcast, but or a segment. But I just think that I can see him. Like, I don't see a play in where Jeremy Chin is not useful on the field.
Yeah.
And so,
fair enough. I understand.
I mean,
we'll see.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of this shit is just going to be like one of those things like that you just really just have to wait and see, bro.
Yeah.
Because like we could get out there and they could try Jeremy Chin at his position. You know, we could go to this 3-4 and all of that all of those things and think that this shit is going to work, and it might just simply not work. Like, I'm excited. I'm on a high right now. Like, I think we've had a great free agency so far, but like that shit could easily go south by week 4, week 5.
Yeah.
Like, and everybody that watches this podcast on a consistent basis, as well as my 2 niggas that are in here right now that know me, like, on a fucking personal level, will know if that's the case, I will be irate and calling for everybody's fucking head. So, like, we just got to wait and see.
Yeah.
For real. We really do. Let's go Shy. Shy Tuttle, 3 years, $19.5 million. He had 49 tackles last year. This was one of those signings that, you know, will go under the radar. Just because, A, he's a defensive lineman, and B, the nigga really he ain't nothing that's really going to move shit. You feel me? Like, I will say I feel as though he'll fit great into that 3-4. If I'm not mistaken, the last, like, kind of depth chart that I saw, I think they had Shy Tuttle as the nose guard.
I think I've seen that too.
Yeah, Derek Brown as one of the defensive ends, and then Deshaun Williams as one of the other defensive ends. So, you know, he's going to be a solid run stopper. He plugs the gap. He's not the fastest. He's not the biggest. He's not the strongest. But he has great feet, and again, he makes a lot of tackles. He makes a lot of the plays that he needs to make, and that's going to be essential for this year because you need a piece like that. You need a piece that's going to be able to get you, you know, a 1 or 2 yard TFL, you know, on a big third down. You're going to need that. So, not an exciting signing, but it was a good signing. So for that, I'll give it a C+. I'll give it a C+.
I'm gonna go to. I guess I'll give it a C. I was gonna say a D, but that would just be.
I mean, give me what you tell the people what your gut say.
Like, I don't like. He's not a player that really moves me, honestly. Like you said, the only reason that I don't give it a D is just because of scheme. Just because, like I was saying last week, that we're gonna need like a few guys, like a few more bigger guys up front, other than Derek Brown, if we're gonna run a 3-4. Like, you're gonna need some grown men up front to like complete that 3-4, and I think that he is like one of those bigger guys, and so that's the reason that I give it a C. It's just because of scheme wise, but I mean, I also haven't watched him play, so maybe I'm being like a little too hard on him. I haven't watched him play. I guess we'll find out more when the season starts to see what he really is. But that I will have to give it a C. It wasn't a signing that I was like extremely excited about. I was just like, oh, he's just another guy.
Fair enough. Since we're here, since we're on the D line, Deshaun Williams. Let me see if they released his contract yet. Do you know?
I have no idea, but I get that signing a D.
Wow, you did text me on some hating shit as soon as we signed him.
Because like I looked up his stats when we signed him, and he was just mud. Honestly, in my opinion, I didn't really see anything that jumped off of the stat sheet. It looks like he's bought in just because the D coordinator that we have now, I can't even pronounce bro name.
Ejiro Evero. I don't know how to pronounce his name either. Like, we're going to have to work on that.
Yeah, I can't.
We're going to have to work on that.
Yeah,
if he start fucking up, if he start fucking up, I'm going to know how to pronounce that name. I ain't going to lie to you, for sure.
Yeah, so I think that's the only reason he was bought in. And it looks like he is probably going to go into that 3-4 defense. Like, he's going to be another down lineman in that defense, I would think.
Yeah.
But I just feel like there's more valuable pieces out there. Like, we still have Calais Campbell that's out there.
Yes, we do.
I think Frank Clark is a free agent.
I think he signed, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, did he sign?
I think, yeah.
Well, I don't think he signed before we signed Deshaun Williams.
I don't know. But I mean, it's very possible that you're right on that.
So I just feel like there were more valuable options out there, and so I just feel like Deshaun Williams was that's my coach, like, oh, that's my boy, like, I'm a vouch for him. He was one of those signings. I didn't watch film on him. I don't really know who the guy is, but I'm basing this off of stats, and I mean, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. So yeah, that's what I'm going off of.
37 tackles for him last year. I kind of feel the same way you do. The only reason why I'm not going to give it a D is because I'm going to give it a C minus. I'm going to give it a C minus just because I think that, the Carolina Panthers have a plan. They know what they want to do defensively. And based on him and, hold on, let me find his name. Ejiro Evero. I got it. Ejiro Evero.
We need to hear it first.
Yeah, we do, because I might be fucking. But based on the relationship they already have coming over from Denver, I don't hate the signing because I feel like Deshaun already knows the scheme. He's a Carolina boy, graduated from Clemson, so we'll see. C minus for me personally. But we'll see. We again, it's one of those things that we just have to see how it plays out. But just off first glance and first, reaction, so to speak, I'm going to give it a C minus, and it's one of those ones that we're going to have to wait and see what happens in order for me to give a full actual opinion on, how good the signing was, because hindsight is always 20/20. So we will see. Staying with linemen. Let's stay with the linemen. I told you last week, and we kind of agreed. I won't even say kind of. We agreed that priority one was Bradley Bozeman.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how happy I was to see that we got him signed to a contract, bro. Like, honestly, that was priority one for me. I felt like this whole offseason would be a fucking failure if we didn't retain Bradley Bozeman, and we did. 3 years, $18 million for him. A plus. Bradley Bozeman had a hell of a year last year. When his opportunity came after Pat Elflein went down, his opportunity came. He was beat out for the starting job in training camp. You take a look at everything that went on to him becoming the talent that he was last year. You take that into account, and then you actually look at the talent that he was last year. This, to me, is an A++ signing. It was priority number one this offseason, has been for the past 4 or 5 months as far as I'm concerned. I love the signing. I know what he's going to bring to the locker room. His family, his family, everybody that seems involved with him on a personal level, they love the city. He loves the city. I love the signing. A++.
Yeah, I will also give it an A+. Bradley Bozeman was a big piece for us up front last year. And that line really started to come together, I guess, like towards the middle of the season, and he was a big reason for that. And so I think the signing was great, not just to his individual play, but just to the play as a whole. I think being able to retain all 5 of your linemen from the previous year, an offensive line that you can argue was a top 10 offensive line. The running backs ran the ball really good behind that offensive line, and we had one of the best rushing attacks in the NFL. And so that starts up front in the trenches. And so to be able to retain all 5 of those guys, and that's very big. And so I will also give it an A+.
For sure. Again, that was one that just simply had to happen. Like, again, if that didn't happen, I'm looking at this off season and this free agency period that, we've been in for about 6 days now. I'm looking at it completely different. I'll just be transparent. I might not be on the same energy and the same high if we didn't get this deal done.
Yeah.
Like, that's just me being honest. And I don't think I've ever felt that way about a offensive lineman besides Ryan Khalil, Jordan Gross, shit like that. But even then, it was just like I didn't have the value for offensive linemen at that time that I do now. I know how essential they are to the game. Mm-hmm. I know how essential they are to making or breaking the team. And again, just touching on one of the points you just made, being able to retain all 5 of your starting linemen from last year, again, arguably a top 10, and you could go up if you wanted to make that point. But arguably a top 10 offensive line last year, being able to retain all of those guys, specifically with a rookie quarterback coming in, that's going to play wonders into what we got going on.
Yeah.
So I just love this move. I'm ecstatic that he's back. I love the way his family loves the city. He just wants to be here. I say that all the time. I remember I was kind of going through some of our reels this past weekend or something like that, and I remember like seeing one of the ones that I cut up, and I don't know if it was. I think it was coming off of a loss. Matter of fact, I believe it was after the Rams game when we got rid of Robbie Anderson, and I just saw like how pissed I was, and I was just like, bro, if you don't want to go through the shit that we got to go through right now, just get the fuck out. If you don't want to be here, get the fuck out. Bradley Bozeman is the complete opposite of that. Bradley Bozeman wants to be here. That's the kind of guys I want on this football team. That's the kind of guys I want in this city. So I'm ecstatic about that. Kind of wrapping up here, we got 2 more, and to me, second and third to the Adam Thielen news, but these last 2 to me were the biggest moves that we made, in my opinion.
You can say the best for last.
Okay, cool. I will. I will, because I think that we might come around to agreeing, but initially we're gonna disagree.
Yeah.
So Andy Dalton, we got Andy Dalton on a 2-year deal, $10 million, 2,871 yards for him last year, 18 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. B+. And I say B+ because he's not, in my opinion, he won't be our starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Right? To me, he's going to be a backup. That was the role that he started in New Orleans last year because he lost his job to Jameis Winston. So B+ for me there. I think he'll be a great veteran presence for our young guy. I think that he understands the position that he's in right now, currently in his career. I know that he knows that it's coming to an end. Mm-hmm. He's played a lot of great football in the past, but at some point or another, you kind of have to acknowledge that, my time is kind of up in this league. So I think it's a great deal. We get him for $5 million a year. Good veteran presence in that quarterback room. It's a good option to have as a backup should anything happen with whatever rookie we decide to go. I don't necessarily hate Andy Dalton being there in that backup role, because I do realize and know that there are worse options than Andy Dalton on the quarterback market as it pertains to having a backup quarterback. So, what did I say? B-?
B+.
B+?
I'm going to go C. And it's just because, like, I just hope to God that I never see him suit up and be starting at any point in the season. And that's really my hope. And the reason I said C is because it's like, I understand that he can be a veteran presence for whatever quarterback we bring in. But I would just have rather had Sam. I don't know if it was Sam's decision that he would rather go somewhere else, but obviously I guess he knows he's not going to start over Brock Purdy or Trey Lance. So
I don't believe that.
No, I don't. I think he has no chance of starting over there.
Why? It's not a 49ers podcast, but, I mean, we're here. So, like, why do you think that?
I mean, because Brock Purdy came in and led the 49ers to what? Were they in the NFC Championship game?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
But he also got fucked in that NFC Championship game.
He did. And I think that if he wouldn't have got injured, then he might have would have fucking been in the fucking Super Bowl. And so I just think that speaks a lot of volume to who Brock Purdy is. And if he can come back fully healthy, then I don't think there's no way that Sam sees the light of day over there.
Fair enough.
And then I think if they keep Trey Lance for whatever reason, I don't think he's better than Trey Lance. But, I mean, I don't know.
He was injured too, though. That's the thing. Both of these quarterbacks that you're talking about, they were injured.
Yeah.
And they currently are injured. So it's just like one of those things where, he might have a better chance of starting over there than he do in Charlotte.
I don't think so. Because I think there's a very good chance that, we can jump on a rookie and he'd be completely ass. Well, I don't think that's a high chance. Or he just get clipped, then I think Sam would be next in line here as well as he would be in San Francisco. But I feel like if both of those guys are healthy in San Francisco, then he's third string. Practice squad at best. Third string.
Practice squad at best?
No, third string at best. Practice squad. If I don't know if you go into the game with 3 quarterbacks. I don't know if they do that.
Not typically.
Yeah, so I mean.
So the nigga is a practice squad nigga?
Well, if Brock and Trey is both healthy and they're on the team, practice squad. And I don't know.
You're crazy.
And
dog.
I don't know if like he has some kind of special attachment to Steve Wilkes. Maybe that's why he was so quick to leave.
Oh, Uncle Steve and C-Mac definitely put in a good work, bro.
And which I wouldn't necessarily be mad at that, but all bringing it back full circle to Andy Dalton, like I just think if we needed someone to be a veteran presence and to kind of mentor the rookie, I think Sam would have been a great person to do that, being the way he played last year. And so that's why I gave Andy a C.
Fair enough. I'm not mad at that. Okay, you told me to say the best for last, and I think that this was probably either first or second on, the most exciting signing that we had, or that we have had the past week. Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders gets a 4-year deal, $25 million. His stats looked something like 5 yards a carry, 1269 total on the ground, 11 touchdowns, and I did him a disservice because I didn't put his receiving stats in there. Let me pull those up real quick.
And before you get your grade off, just to let y'all know, last week JJ did not want Miles Sanders. So I just want to make sure that he's keeping that true and kept when he goes and speaks on him during this segment.
Receiving last year for him, 20 catches, 78 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But his rookie year in Philly, he did have 50 catches for 509 yards, 3 touchdowns. So he does have the ability to affect the game in the passing game as well. I would like for you to go first.
I'm going to give it an A. Matter of fact, being that Deontay is gone, I'm going to give it an A+. Because I would have gave it an A if we would have kept Deontay, just because like I think that 1-2 punch would have been perfect. Mm-hmm. I just don't know how Miles would have kind of felt about it, or because I mean he kind of was splitting reps a little bit with what's Buddy name in Philly?
Gainwell
and Boston Scott. It was at a certain point in time like they were also getting like a good amount of reps. I'm not gonna say he was necessarily splitting them, but they were also getting a good amount of reps. But I think Deontay Foreman, if he would have stayed, then it would have been more so him getting majority of the reps, in my opinion, or them like really just splitting it down the middle. So I don't know if how Miles would have felt about that. So that's why I would have gave it an A if we would have kept Deontay Foreman. But I think Miles Sanders is a very good. He's a very good back. His team made it to the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl this past year. And I think you have to give credit to obviously Jalen Hurts, that offensive line. But Miles Sanders ran the ball hard. He was very efficient this year. He did have a fumbling problem coming into the NFL, but I don't think it has been nearly as bad now as it has been back in those days. And so I think that he brings a very different dynamic to the running back room. I think him and Chuba. I don't think it'll be as a heavy run as it was last year, obviously, because he's not a really run between the tackles type guy. But I also don't think that's the direction that our offense is going in anyway, being that we have this new coach in Frank Wright and being that he's made it a mission to put receivers around the rookie quarterback and get a receiving tight end. And so I think, like, with that being said, it'll be more of like a hybrid offense, more balanced offense. And I think Miles Sanders complements that well with being able to catch the ball out of the backfield, being able to run the ball well if we need him to. And so I just think that was a great signing, in my opinion.
Okay. Huh?
I would argue that y'all might run the ball more, considering the fact that Frank Wright did have Jonathan Taylor, who led the league in rushing, and y'all got a rookie quarterback coming in.
Yeah, but
that's a fair point.
And y'all really don't have crazy pass catchers like that, and definitely no blazing speed on the outside. So it would actually make more sense that y'all be a little bit more run heavy, at least to start out.
no, I would think that if we were gonna go to a run heavy offense or keep a run heavy offense, then we would have kept Steve Wilkes, because I think that was his bread and butter, being able to turn that team into like a run heavy team, and like realizing that, you know, we don't have shit we can throw to. Well, we had more that we could throw to last year, just not the quarterback. But I think that I don't think we would go run heavy because Miles Sanders is a much smaller back than Deontay Foreman and doesn't really run the ball as hard, and that would just lead him to get his shit fucked up trying to run the ball like that every play.
Yeah.
So I think that if they want to salvage what's left of Miles Sanders, and we know that running backs don't have a high shelf life, like Zeke ass is out of Dallas already. And so I think if they want to salvage that, it'll be in their best interest to not run that bitch heavy like they did last year.
Yeah. Just to combat that point, I think what contributed to that a lot was the fact that Frank Reich also was fucking rolling out with Matt Ryan and Phillip Rivers. With all due respect. You know what I'm saying? That shit is not Bryce and that shit is not CJ. And that bitch, matter of fact, I'll go a step further and say that shit ain't Will. Not at that point in their career where they was at, you know, all due respect, you know, Matt Ryan, MVP, Phillip Rivers, one of the, you know, winningest starting quarterbacks in the regular season. All that shit is cute. But at the point that they were at in their career, he ain't had no choice but to run that motherfucker. Especially when you got Jonathan Taylor, who was just a bell cow and can tote that bitch 25, 30 times a game. I won't necessarily be mad. I'm going to give this signing a B-. I was very vocal last week, like you said. I was very vocal that I didn't want Miles Sanders. I wanted Deontay Foreman back. I'll stand on that.
Well,
I'll stand on that. But understanding that Deontay Foreman is not coming back and I have to pick another option, I mean, shit. Miles Sanders, I'll give it a B-. Again, 1269 last year. You know, he has home run speed. The fumbling problem, he gave the bitch up, I want to say 4 or 5 times his rookie year. But I won't go all the way back to that because he's year 3, year 4.
He updated his resume.
Yeah, exactly. What I will combat all of these people gassing this signing with is the fact that it's the same thing that I was having a conversation with my boys, Tavian being one of them, and Kenny being a Philly fan. The night that we signed Miles Sanders, we were having a conversation, and I told them that I think Miles Sanders benefited a lot from the quarterbacks that he was around. He played with Carson Wentz. He played with fucking Jalen Hurts. We already know what Jalen Hurts, the way he took that motherfucker. And with the offense that they were running, specifically when, Carson Wentz was popping before he tore his shit. And, again, with Jalen Hurts, it's very, very heavy RPO. I don't know if that's the approach that we're taking. So I don't know how potent Miles Sanders will be on the ground. I don't know if he's just a guy that we can line up in the fucking I formation or in just a simple halfback set and give that motherfucker off to him. I just simply don't. So I have to see it because, again, you've benefited for the better part of your career, for the higher part of your career, you've benefited from having a running quarterback beside you. And what we know is Bryce can tote that bitch. Don't get me wrong. Bryce can tote it, and CJ can tote it. But neither one of those guys, in my opinion, are running quarterbacks. They have the ability to extend plays with their legs, but they're not running quarterbacks. They're not Lamar. They're not Josh. They're not guys like that. Neither one of those guys are running quarterbacks, in my opinion. So for me, I'm going to have to see, based off the stats, based on the tape, based on everything else in regards to that, I'm giving it a B-. But again, I have to see, because I know what Deontay is going to give me. I know that I can get that bitch to Deontay 20 times a game, and I know he going to be all right to tote that motherfucker 20 times a game. I do. He's a more pure running back, in my opinion. I won't even say more pure, because I feel like that's unfair, because it's just like when old heads argue about the game of basketball, right? So I'm not going to say more pure, because I feel like that's unfair, but Deontay Foreman is a more traditional back. He's a more traditional back. And that's, for me personally, that's what I like. That's what I prefer. But we're going to see. We're going to see. I give it a B-. But that was one of the higher points in this week, was us going out and getting Miles Sanders. And off of that, I want to know what the fuck happened with Deontay Foreman.
Yeah.
1 year, what was the fucking... I mean, because when I saw the deal, I was really just mind-boggled, like, transparently, because I think I texted you and said, I mean, what the fuck did we offer the nigga? If he moved off of 1 year for $3 million?
Yeah, I don't...
What the fuck did we offer him?
It could have very much well been he just ain't want to be there no more. But I don't understand why. I'm trying to think, like, I don't know if it...
When he was packing his shit up last year in the locker room, he said he wanted to come back. That's
what he said, but, like, at the same time, he was, like, in the market for a minute. Like, I don't know. I don't know, because, like, they said in the press conferences that, I think it was Scott who said it, was like he was making it a mission he wanted to go and re-sign Deontay Foreman.
Yeah, that's what everybody was saying.
I wanna say that they probably gave him a deal, like, before.
They did. Like, they said
free agency.
They said that he had a deal before free agency started.
Yeah, so and being that he was in the market for as long as he was, I already kind of had a feeling that he was gone. Yeah. Because, like, why not take that fucking deal?
Yeah, I don't know, but that shit is just extremely strange. I mean, I just have a very, 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 very hard time believing that we couldn't, at the bare minimum, match that.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think, like, I don't know if it could have been a situation where they were like, we're giving you this, like, we'll give you this deal, and it'll kind of be the same thing we had last year, or all of that shit could have changed when Frank came in. Yeah. All of that shit could have changed, and that might have not been the style of offense he wanted to run. That's why I was saying, like, I'm not going to necessarily say that it's going to be the same run-heavy offense, because if that's the case, then why not keep Deontay Foreman? And like you said, he moved off a one year, $3 million deal. That's not shit. It's not. Realistically. It's not. And so it's like, especially with the season he put up last year. So it's like, if Frank was going to run that same style offense, then why not keep the more traditional, the more power, the more run heavy back? Yeah. And so I don't know if it was something like, hey, like, we're willing to keep you, but we're still going to go out in free agency and try to find a more elusive back to pair you with, kind of thing. I don't know if that was something he was like, nah, fuck that. Like, I want to be the number one, kind of thing. I don't know if they told him, like, hey, we looking at Miles Sanders to bring him in, like, be a 1-2 punch if he wasn't feeling that. I don't know what it was, but something had to change from our last game to when we signed Frank, when we hired Frank, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you could be right.
Because nothing really makes sense for him to really just move off of that and go to Chicago. Yeah. Behind that shitty-ass offensive line.
Yeah, it really did surprise me. I'll be honest. Yeah. Like, I remember, I legitimately texted you and was like, the nigga moved off of 1 for 3? Like, 1 for 3, nigga? That's what you moved off of? But, whatever. It is what it is. Just going back to Miles Sanders real quick, because I didn't touch on this. The yardage that he had on the ground was 5th in the league, and he was 8th in the league with the 11 rushing touchdowns. You take into account that, again, he had a running quarterback that got a lot of fucking goal line touches, and you take into account, again, like you mentioned earlier, that he was splitting carries with Boston Scott and Kenneth Gainwell. It leaves, it leaves a relatively good taste in your mouth, I guess you could say, seeing his stats and seeing where he was able to finish with all of those things playing against him.
Yeah, and then I would say the way Chuba left off last season, I mean, if Miles Sanders just turns out to be just complete bullshit,
put Chuba in there, bro.
Yeah.
Because Chuba really was toting that motherfucker last year. That's one thing that we really ain't really harp on as much last year, I guess, because maybe the numbers weren't really, as high as Deontay's were, and his play was being overshadowed by Deontay. But the way Chuba was running that bitch was different last year for sure.
Well, sometimes you need for your job to be on the line for you to tap into a different level. And I think he probably thought, like, coming in, C-Mac gone, like, I'm going to be the number one. But then Deontay was like, nah, fuck that. Yeah. And then so he was like, now I got to make the most out of my touches. So that could have been a thing. And it was just like, we didn't really see that out of him until his job was on the line. And he was like, I got to get right.
Facts. Well, hey, I think that's all I have for real on the docket. I was going to touch on Moses.
I'm glad you leaving that there.
I was going to touch on Moses, but I think at this time, it's really just time to just let that shit be what it is. And I love Moses. If y'all don't know who I'm talking about, it's Cam Newton. I love Moses. I love Cam Newton. But I think it's just time for us to just leave that shit where it is. As an organization, as a franchise, we've just completely moved on. I wish Cam Newton nothing but the best and success and everything that he does in life, because I think he's a genuine nigga, and I know what he's done for my franchise, and I know the type of energy he brought to the city. But I'm not going to get into it.
Yeah, I was about to say, now, if he want to come back and we be on the goal line and he want to run his last little QB sneak over the goal line and go hang up his cleats and put his helmet up and shit, yeah, I mean, we bring him back for that. But, I mean, other than that, he can stay where the fuck he at.
This is what I want to close with. And when I see, and this is, again, why I love Sheena, bro. I really do. Because she really be she really be chatting, and, like, she really be, like, chatting facts. Sheena quick. When was this tweet? When did she tweet this shit? I don't even have a timestamp for it. But this is what I want to close with, and we'll do our outro and everything like that after. But this is what Sheena tweeted, I want to say probably about 4 or 5 days ago. And it says, #Panthers Twitter. The fan base brings up passing on Justin Fields from time to time. As we know, that's been a very, very high topic on Panthers fan base agenda when it comes to us taking JC over, Justin Fields, and Matt Rule ultimately making that decision. The fan base brings up passing on Justin Fields from time to time, but no one that I've seen, she prefaces it, right? She prefaces it because, the motherfuckers might be talking about it, but nobody that she's seen ever talks about taking Etor Gross-Matos over Jalen motherfucking Hurts. Now, ain't that about a bitch? Now, ain't that? Because when I saw that shit, I ain't gonna lie, that never really crossed my mind. Like, it never really crossed my mind that Jalen Hurts was still available when we drafted at one point or another, and we took motherfucking Etor Gross-Matos. Let that shit sink in.
But Tavian, this the same nigga that said he has faith in that front office to not go fuck it up come draft night.
Because the front office that we're currently dealing with,
it's the same office, motherfuckers besides Matt Rule.
That's fine. But again, that's what you just said the key. They gave Matt Rule all the fucking control, bro. They brought Matt Rule in and gave this bitch the throne.
I can't even let you get that off.
I'm telling you, you don't have to let me get it off. It's facts.
Documented. Are you a man or not?
It's documented.
To let that nigga take the ball out your court like that, I'm gonna let him pick Etor Gross-Matos over Jalen Hurts. Like, that doesn't even logically make sense.
Bro, it's documented.
So I'm not even letting them get that off by them giving that control to Matt Rule to make that dumbass decision. That has something. Dave and Scott had to sign off on that shit. I guarantee you, everything that goes through that front office, they have to sign off on that shit. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, exactly. And that goes back to supporting my stance. The comment was made, didn't y'all already have Sam Darnold at that time? The answer is yes, we did have Sam Darnold at that time, for one. For two, that is the direction and the route that Matt Rule wanted to take this fucking franchise into. He liked the fucking bum-ass veteran quarterbacks. Veteran, I guess you can put it in quotes. He liked the bum-ass veteran quarterbacks, and he thought he could turn shit into fucking gold. And it just turned out that he couldn't. So if you already have your guy, because again, we gave this sorry fat chipmunk looking motherfucker a 7-year contract out of college. So if you have your coach and you understand that this is the direction that he wants to build towards, when he brings in a guy like a Sam Darnold, who is still relatively young at the time and still actually is, a guy that, you know, a lot of people had ranked very high on the prospect list when he got drafted out of USC. When you bring in a guy like that, you're not thinking about going quarterback.
That got cut after, 2 years with the Jets?
But I'm just telling you, no, he didn't get cut. He got traded. So he got traded.
Number one, what was he? The number 2 draft pick?
Something like that. I don't know. He was a high pick.
And already fucking traded. My thing is that they had to sign off on that shit. Like, you just don't let a bullshit, you don't let a bullshit ass offer come across your desk and just be like, oh, I'm going to just disregard this bullshit I'm looking at and sign off on this.
But if I trust you with what the fuck is going on, and I brought you in on 7 years for $69 million or whatever the fuck we gave that motherfucker, whatever we gave him, if I trust you and I've told you you have the keys to the car, then you got to drive it.
What?
And so whatever you say, based on the amount of trust that I've already instilled in you, you got to sit on that and you got to stand on that, and I have to stand on it too because I put myself in this position.
Well, trust me enough to let me know when I'm making a dumbass decision and be very clear to correct me on that shit, because that's what happened.
Well, again, all of that shit is cute, but I think that the past 3 years, I think Matt Rule has had complete control over everything that is going on. And I'll be 100% transparent with you. I think that at some point or another, Dave Tepper had to fucking check Scott Fitterer, because I think Scott Fitterer, just based on the way the free agent period has gone this year, I think Scott Fitterer really noticed football shit. I really think he know what pieces to put where and what position. I really, really do genuinely believe that. And I think at some point or another, Scott Fitterer went to Dave Tepper and told that nigga man-to-man, face-to-face, you letting this motherfucker fuck this team up. I think he did. And you know what I think Dave Tepper said? Like, honestly, you know what I think he said? Fall the fucking line. He's running the show. Because I know how big Dave Tepper's fucking ego is. It is his field. You're absolutely right. It is. And again, I know that it was the hardest pill in life for that nigga to swallow by firing Matt Rule. But he had to go. And any motherfucker, and this includes Terrence, because Terrence is trying to lead y'all astray. He is. Any motherfucker that'll sit here and tell you that Matt Rule didn't have complete control over what was going on personnel-wise is fucking tripping. Matt Rule had complete control over what was going on over everything.
I'm not gonna say he didn't have control, but I'm just saying, like, as a person in a position of power, as an owner, as a GM, like, you got to be man enough to drop your nuts and let the nigga that's under you that you hire know that, like, no, this shit is not gonna fly. I'm not signing off on this. Like, that's all I'm saying. Like, so even if Matt Rule had that kind of control, cool. Kudos to Matt Rule. He fucking mind-fucked Dave Tepper. Kudos to him. But at the same time, this falls on Dave Tepper that you have to be man enough to take control over the team that you fucking own and the coach that you hire to say, no, this is not the show you running. Like, I'm running this bitch. My name is on this motherfucker. My name is on your paycheck. So when you send over that I want to sign Yeetor's Gross Matos from Penn State over fucking Jalen Hurts from Oklahoma, that's not gonna fucking fly. Good riddance, bitch.
Appreciate y'all tuning in. I mean, we could have this argument for the next 60 to 90 minutes, but I'm going to let that shit go because that was a beautiful way to close the shit. I will say that. Fuck Matt Rule. It's going to be that till the day I die, bro. I cannot stand that motherfucker. I wish him nothing but failure in his life. And matter of fact, let me not even go that far. Let me not even go that far because I almost got too fucking eager and anxious to say what the fuck I really wanted to say. But I'm going to let it be what it is. Appreciate y'all tuning in to FPFO. It's been another episode. Follow us, all platform DSPs, Afro Panthers fans only, at the G2S Network on YouTube and Rumble, Afro Panthers fans only, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Tap in, a lot of fucking content on the way. I'm still on y'all niggas' tops in that Facebook fan group because a lot of y'all got a lot to say because I'm coming to air everybody. Specifically, what's your boy name? What's his name? Malik Campbell? Whatever the fuck his name is. Nigga, just know you have to deal with JJ for the duration of this whole fucking season and for the rest of your fucking life. God honest truth, because you talk dumb as hell. What would you like to say to close?
Yeah, thank y'all for tuning in. We've been getting a lot of buzz. It's been active on Instagram and everywhere, really, YouTube. So we appreciate the support. Continue to like, comment, subscribe. Continue to, argue, say your stance. You have your opinions. We have ours. We're more than happy to go back and forth with you. It is what it is. But, yeah, continue to tap in and interact, and we're going to continue to bring more content. So,
for sure. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Peace.
Double C on me, came right out of friends. Niggas be faking, I see through the lens. Faded as fuck, I might crash in the Benz. Out of my bag, ain't look back ever since. I'ma go pop my shit, cause niggas ain't heard me. I'm in the car with some shooters that don't give a fuck, they'll wet up your jersey. And I keep it down low,